Welcome back to the Ghost Frequency. I'm Ghost. And tonight we're talking about something invisible, something you can't see, can't hold, and can't burn the wind. Specifically, why the most powerful man in the world is terrified of it. Let's start with some numbers, because the numbers matter here. Right now, wind turbines in the United States generate enough electricity to power 46 million homes. That's not a projection. That's not a dream. That's what's happening today. In 2025, wind produced about 10.5% of all U.S. electricity. And here's something that barely made headlines. In April 2024, wind power actually generated more electricity than coal for an entire month. The cost of wind has dropped more than 30% over the last decade. In many parts of this country, it is the single cheapest form of new electricity you can build. Period. Wind turbine technician is the fastest growing job in America. So, why is the president trying to kill it? On his very first day back in office, January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump signed an executive order pausing all federal approvals, permits, and loans for wind energy projects. Every single one, on land, offshore, all of it. And in a separate energy emergency order, he listed what counted as energy resources: crude oil, natural gas, coal, even biofuels. Wind wasn't on the list, not an oversight, a choice. By December 2025, his administration had suspended all 5 large offshore wind farms that were actively under construction. Projects with thousands of workers, billions in investment, many of them nearly finished. Trump has defended all of this by saying wind turbines cause cancer. They don't. He said offshore turbines are killing whales. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a federal agency, says there are, quote, no known links between large whale deaths and ongoing offshore wind activities. He's called wind the most expensive form of energy you can have by far. That is the exact opposite of what the data shows. 17 state attorneys general sued him, calling the executive order unlawful. They argue he simply doesn't have the authority to unilaterally shut down an entire energy sector. So where does this hatred come from? Here's where it gets almost absurd. In 2006, Trump bought land on the coast of Scotland to build a golf course. A few years later, the Scottish government approved an offshore wind farm nearby. Trump testified before the Scottish Parliament in 2012 to try to stop it. He called the turbines monstrous. Disgusting looking. He lost. The wind farm was built, and you can see it right there, from his golf clubhouse to this day. A grudge over a golf course. That's the origin story of U.S. wind energy policy in 2025. But a personal grudge doesn't explain a systematic takedown of an entire industry. For that, you need to follow the money. In April 2024, Trump invited the CEOs of America's biggest oil and gas companies to Mar-a-Lago. According to witnesses who were in that room, he made them an offer. Raise $1 billion for my campaign, and I will give you everything on your wish list. Drilling expansion, rolled back regulations, gone. Wind and solar policies. He called it, and I want you to hear this word clearly, a deal. The industry said yes. According to data from Open Secrets, the nonpartisan research group that tracks political donations, oil and gas companies contributed at least $96 million directly to Trump's campaign and super PACs. The fossil fuel industry spent an estimated $219 million total to influence the 2024 election, with 88% of it going to Republicans. Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips donated a combined $19 million just to Trump's inaugural fund. And one analysis, accounting for donations, lobbying, and advertising, puts the total fossil fuel investment in the 2024 election cycle at $450 million, and the return on that investment almost immediate. Trump declared a national energy emergency. He cleared the way for new natural gas export terminals. He rescinded drilling protections in Alaska. He rolled back EPA standards. The 15 wealthiest fossil fuel billionaires have seen their combined personal fortunes grow by more than $40 billion since April 2024. The U.S. Senate Finance and Budget Committees launched a formal investigation, calling it a, quote, quid pro quo with big oil. Now here's what this story buries, and I want you to hear this part clearly. The The states that produce the most wind energy in America are Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Kansas, and Illinois. These are not blue states running a coastal experiment. Iowa gets 63% of its electricity from wind. Farmers in these states lease their land to wind developers and collect steady checks, money that helps family farms survive. The wind industry employs 275,000 Americans across all 50 states. Veterans are hired at a rate nearly double the national average in this industry. Wind energy is domestic. The fuel is free. It cannot be embargoed by a foreign government. It cannot be held hostage by a war in the Middle East. It doesn't require drilling into protected land or pumping chemicals into the ground. And offshore? Before Trump's crackdown, there were 40 active offshore wind leases along America's coasts, with the potential to generate nearly double the country's entire current electricity demand by 2050. The UK is building it. Germany is building it. China is already the world leader in offshore wind capacity. The United States is stepping aside. One Brown University professor who tracks the offshore wind industry put it simply. He said, and these are his words, "They're killing the baby while it's still in the cradle." Workers in the industry describe watching their careers evaporate in real time. One inspector who spent a decade in wind told CNN, "The president has a vendetta against wind. The industry is being singled out." Meanwhile, the fossil fuel companies bankrolling Trump's political operation are posting record profits. So let's be honest about what this is. Trump's war on wind is not about protecting birds. It's not about whale safety. It's not about radar systems or the cost of electricity. It is about protecting the profits of an industry that spent, by most credible estimates, hundreds of millions of dollars to put him back in power. Wind energy is not a political ideology. It's a resource. A free, domestic, infinite resource that creates jobs, lowers energy bills, and reduces the grip that foreign oil has on this country. The people paying to stop it aren't farmers in Iowa. They aren't workers in Kansas. They aren't veterans building turbines in Texas. They're oil executives, cutting checks at Mar-a-Lago. That's the frequency for tonight. The wind is still blowing out there. It doesn't care who's in office. It doesn't care who's check cleared. It just keeps moving, quiet, invisible, and more powerful than anyone paid to ignore it wants you to believe. I'm Ghost. This has been the Ghost Frequency, a Haunted Strings production. Stay tuned, stay curious, and remember, the things that move the world are often the things you can't see.